for tomorrow. Good afternoon. Yes, it's always a reference when you go to the same stadium, but there are many different circumstances, different manager, different kind of players. But it will be as difficult as ever, as is any away game, and against a team that's doing very well this season. They're in a very strong position in the league with no danger of relegation. They're doing very well. So yes, it's going to be difficult to compete against them, trying to find the same sensations we look for in every game. Every game has its dangers, especially away games. Would you be surprised if there was a particularly hostile atmosphere? There are some memories of something concerning Neymar in the game last season, which maybe the fans might not have forgotten. I'm thinking back to the last game. I think we competed very hard. We won 2-0. We were down to 10 men, and that was when we scored the goals. So if you look back at that game, you can see this game that we really could have won by more than 2 goals, but looking back at the game, we did our job, but our consciences are clean.
Avui hi havia una informació a Mundo Deportivo de la intenció del club de lligar Messi fins al 2022.
Talk about Messi and some information in the papers today about him extending his contract and whether when Messi's 36 years old he'll still make the same difference that he does now. I am a manager, and a good manager, I think, but not a magician. Leo Messi is going to be the greatest player as long as he wants to, but there will be a time when age affects everybody. I'd like it to be another until he's 40 years old, but I really don't have a scientific basis to comment any further on that. Messi has scored 20 goals since the new year. Could he compete for the leading goal scorer title? Yeah, of course he's capable of doing anything, that player, but what I can tell you, he's very focused on what he's doing, focused on achieving things more on a general team level, not just him, but the rest of the team. That's what makes me optimistic. I'm more concerned about global targets, but obviously if global targets are met, it's because individual targets are being met as well, and certain players will benefit from that. But I think he's really focused on team objectives more than anything else. Talking about Brazil's Olympic selection, Rafinha has been named in that team, but will he be back in time? We're thinking that maybe in a month or so he'll be able to play again. And what are his chances for playing at the Olympics for Brazil? Well, it's good news if he's thinking about playing in the Olympics for Brazil. It's been an unlucky season for him because of the injury, but we're hanging on what the doctors have to say. His recovery is going as well as we could hope. He was able to take part in almost the whole training session today. There's still that final stage of his recovery to come, and he needs to get medical clearance from the doctors, and hopefully he can come back and enjoy competitive matches too. We'll have to wait and see how things develop. You've always said that you're optimistic. If you could have said at the start of the season that at this time of March you'd be in the Copa del Rey final, you'd be practically through to the next round of the Champions League, you'd be 8 points clear at the top of the league, would you have believed that at the start of the season? Yes. Yeah, I would have believed that, yes, of course.
Pero si tiramos de hemeroteca en estos meses seguro que
If we look back at the archives, you'll know I've come in for a lot of criticism, 10, 20, 50, 100 times I've been criticized. So there are still things to be improved. That's what we have to do, just try and improve game by game. I can tell you we're very well positioned, very well focused, but the hardest part of the season has still to come. Let's hope that that conclusion you just drew now is the same conclusion that we can draw at the end of the season, because that will mean that we will have met all of our objectives. Talk about the team's problems with penalties at the moment. Is that because other teams are able to read your intentions better, or is it bad luck? Because it's football. It's a wonderful game, and the greatest strikers in your team can sometimes not get the statistics that you would expect from them. But if we look at the way the games are going, we're winning by 2 goals, 3 goals or more. Obviously, we need to do better at penalties, and the penalty takers are more aware of that than anybody else. But the only people that fail penalties are the people that take penalties, and you need to be there to take them. There are always things to improve, and this is clearly one of the areas where there is a lot of room for improvement.
Hola, buenas tardes, Joan Poquí de Mundo Deportivo. El hecho de llevar 35 partidos sin perder.
Talking about the 35-match unbeaten streak, whether that makes it even harder, because it's always harder and harder to continue the unbeaten run, as opposed to perhaps on the back of 10 unbeaten games. I don't know really. I don't know how to answer that question. But certainly when you're on a certain dynamic, then the next games tend to flow. But how much it influences that it's 10 games, 25 games, 3 games unbeaten, I don't really know. But we just try to look at each game and approach it in the specific way, do things depending on what the opposition can do, how they can create the most damage, how they can create the less damage. Every opponent is different, every opponent attacks in a different way. So it's a question of finding common points that are going to help us to achieve the objectives that we set before every game.
Sí, Pere Gelada, de l'Esportiu. A l'hora de planificar l'11 de demà, quines perspectives veus amb Rakitic?
Asking about Rakitic, who took a bit of a knock against Rayo Vallecano. We haven't seen yet. He had a swelling in a nasty area, which is the instep of the foot, which is what you hit the ball with, so it's very painful. Yesterday, the doctors said it would be better for him to train separately. We'll see. I would imagine the swelling's gone down, but we'll see how much. Those parts of the foot can really make it very awkward to play.
Tiago Arantes de ESPN Brasil. En los próximos días, la comisión técnica de la selección de Brasil viene a Madrid, a Barcelona y a otras ciudades.
Talking about the Brazilian technical committee, who are going to be coming to Madrid and to Barcelona to talk about the Brazil players for the Olympics and the Copa America. In Brazil, it's being rumoured that Dunga wants Neymar to play in both tournaments. What's Barca's stance on that? Would you rather you only played in one of those tournaments? And if so, which? That's something we're going to need to talk about. Like you say, Dunga is coming and wants to talk about the situation of his players, and it's the right time for him to come and talk about things. We'll talk about what's best for him, what's best for the club, and what's best for his country.
Sí, soy Alex María Franquet para El Correo. Quería preguntarte, ¿qué análisis haces futbolístico del Eibar?
If you could perhaps analyse Eibar and the fact they're still in contention for a place in the UEFA Cup, Europa League, as we call it these days. They're a team that plays simple and direct football. They base their attacks on transitions, and they're one of the best teams that defends and then turns that into attacking pressure. They tend to generate a lot of attacking moves, and the small size of their field and their ground also adds a different factor to be considered. And it's a team, I think, that this year has caused some surprises in this tournament, and it's nice to see that because I think they deserve what they've been getting.
Hola, buenos, Jamie Stone para Bein Sports Estados Unidos. Después de este partido del Eibar tendréis
After Eibar, you have a week off to plan for the next game. It's 2.5 months since you had that. So, how are you thinking about what you could call a blessing? Let's not exaggerate and call it a blessing, but yeah, it's nice to have a week off and be able to focus a bit on what we've got ahead and work on perhaps some more specific things that we can't do in such short spaces of time. But we have the advantage that we've had this basis of a team for the last year and a half, and these long weeks are always really nice for recovering strength and for working on key tactical issues.
Juan Arias Cope, la FIFA acaba de aprobar el uso de tecnología para determinadas...
FIFA have said that technology could be used for certain elements of the game, such as goal line technology and penalties. Are you in favour of that? We'll have to see how things work out and evolve. You can't keep stopping the game for this kind of situation, but anything that helps the referees and that is of benefit to football, then that's more than welcome. The technology exists in every part of our daily lives, so I think that we need to start using it in football too. But we need to realise to what extent and what measures are going to be implemented specifically.
Aquí se recuerda mucho una temporada en la que Eto'o buscó el Pichichi.
Go back to the year when Eto'o was trying to go for Pichichi and kept missing penalties and things. And do you think the same thing might be happening to Suarez? What I see is Luis Suarez very focused on all the objectives and titles that we're trying to win, and making history by doing things for the team. These players are intelligent. They know that the other things are secondary matters.
Buenas tardes, David Ibáñez de Mediaset Sport. Te hablaban de ese récord que...
Talking about Barca's record of unbeaten matches again.
Además de las calidades de los jugadores, ¿tú crees que una de las principales...
Other than the qualities of the players, do you think one of the other key aspects is the good mood between the players? We get smiles from them all the time. They seem to all get on. If there was only one thing that was the key to winning and not losing, then every team would use that. But no, it's the sum of many different factors. Okay, thank you very much. The team are now going to be training, and afterwards they'll be announcing the squad that's going to be travelling tomorrow to Eibar. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Madrid, Xavi?
0-0. 0-0, patint. Ha fet un pal al Celta. Els canvis del camp.
Enrique, ¿has visto a la alegría? Crack. ¿Has visto la alegría, nen? Està allà, vale.
Ja ha costat a Weri.
Vale.